A glorious clash of giants from the continent that gave us democracy, the Renaissance and the Age of Enlightenment.
The Eurovision Song Contest.
No, David, think bigger, think much bigger than that. Think of a European competition of such drama and spectacle it stops the world in its tracks. A contest...
Not the Second World War.
No, David, even bigger than that.
The Euros.
Yes, David. Every 4 years, the world's oldest nations come together for a festival of football, a celebration of the beautiful game, a competition of such sound and fury.
It's not really bigger than the war, though, is it?
Not bigger, but definitely better.
Trezeguet! Oh, brilliant! Oh, yes!
And yes, forget Entente Cordiale.
Oh, that's an Eldo, isn't it?
This summer's tournament in Poland and the Ukraine will be as fiercely contested as ever. Come on. But how will Euro 2012 end? One of Europe's greatest footballing nations sweeping to victory, or will a complete bunch of no-hopers surprise us all?
It's Denmark, who are the European champions.
Who knows?
Oh, miles into the crowd.
All we know for sure is that it will be full of drama.
It's just a bomb, people, keep playing!
And for the next 90 minutes, you'll be witnessing the most jaw-dropping moments the Euros have ever seen.
It was brutal.
It's a story of triumph.
Oh, yes, what a penalty!
And disaster.
It's Germany again.
Of familiar failings.
Whose fucking idea was it? It's ridiculous.
And of friends and foes.
Here's Ali McCoy. A goal for Scotland.
Rod Stewart cried.
There'll be heroes. There'll be villains.
It was like Mick Jagger touching cloth.
And clowns.
Oh, my goodness!
It's a story of European unity.
Madness. No place for that on the football pitch.
And sophisticated foreign manners. But most of all, it's a story of shocks.
Oh, goodness me!
Lots and lots of shocks.
They've been simply awful.
My name is Kunz. Stefan Kunz.
Very pleased for you, Stefan.
So welcome to our countdown of the most sensational, shocking moments in the history of the European Football Championships.
You haven't got that one about me, the jacuzzi, Peter Crouch, the Swedish bikini team, and the Dwarves, have you?
And so we begin with a story of such blatant wickedness that only one nation among our European pals could be behind it.
Three Lions is still now the best football song this country has ever had and will ever have.
That is the song.
It's timeless. 3 lions on a shirt. I love that. That was my song.
This was the nation's song. As British as binge drinking and as sacred as Lord Gary Lineker, this song was Forever England. Which is why when One Nation, Vorsprung Dirk technicked it, the Scheiße hit the fan. Ladies and gentlemen, the Germans.
There's nothing sacred.
The Germans stealing 3 lions is akin to coming home and finding your best mate in bed with your mum.
Germans are not very gracious visitors. Not only did we take the cup back with us, we also took the song.
Other than craft work, they do not have music in Germany. They just have trumpets and they would Hasselhoff.
Hearing 3 Lions for the Germans must have been like hearing the Beatles' White Album. It must have been that.
Yeah.
Wow, this is amazing.
Dry Lions got to number 16 in the German charts, but why they'd want to sing about England's dashed hopes, repeated failures and blind optimism I'll never know. Shocking. Stuart Pearce, England icon, tea-sipping, mild-mannered gentleman of the game.
This weekend's a very important weekend for our country in general.
But he wasn't always the softly spoken, temperate chap we know today. No, he was the most anarchic, fearless and intimidating footballer of his generation.
The ultimate hard man of football.
The man is rock.
Which is why they nicknamed him Psycho. Meet Basil Bowley, gifted French defender, lovely dancer, and Chris Waddle's other half. He's nicknamed Twinkle Toes. So when Basil decided to commit to what is tantamount to footballing suicide in Euro 92, he shocked the entire continent.
Madness. Absolute mad. No place for that on the football pitch.
Bowley absolutely floors Pearce, just runs straight through him with his head.
I mean, he's giving him a massive clout there, hasn't he? That's big, that is.
It was an impressive headbutt, but it was an impressive reaction from Pearcey, the way he didn't go down, he just like, flies just got in the eye there, you know?
No, Alan, he went down.
He didn't flinch.
No, Alan, he definitely flinched.
Pearcey could have had brain damage from that headbutt. Straight up, let's get on with it.
He doesn't even appeal to the referee because he's Stuart Pearce.
The man is clearly mentally unstable.
That boy needs therapy. Psychosomatic. That boy needs therapy. You don't headbutt Stuart Pearce. It's like literally pulling your pants down in front of a lion, a hungry lion, and squirting tomato sauce on your privates.
Most shockingly, though, when given the opportunity to land a Frenchman straight in the mud, Pearce went all entente cordiale.
I certainly wouldn't start crying over little incidents like that. It's just one of those things, part of the game. We're all men out there.
If there's one single piece of concrete evidence that shows that Stuart Pearce is a psychopath, is the fact that he thinks a man walking up to someone and headbutting them is acceptable.
You're a nut! You're crazy in the coconut!
Bowley sent a fax to him, didn't he, to thank him for basically not dropping him in the shit.
There's two incredible things about that. One, that Stuart Pearce even had a fax machine. Two, that he knew how to work it.
I've not heard of Basil Bowley for at least 15 years, so I can only assume that Stuart Pearce has had him killed.
David, I've heard that you're a bit of a bender.
Yes, I'm a massive bender.
How long have you been a massive bender?
Ages. I love being a total bender. My friend Yuri taught me all I know.
With icons like Andy Murray, Lorraine Kelly and Wet Wet Wet, if the Scots know anything, it's that fortune favours the average. But when Scotland's plucky underdogs arrived at Wembley at Euro 96, the English weren't going to leave anything to chance. They needed something special.
What scientist was sitting there going, right, well, you know, we've trained them for ages, we've got a quite good manager, we've Wembley, we're at home, we're against Scotland, who admittedly are a bit crap. All the favours are in our side. We just need one more thing.
And that thing England needed was a force of nature. God, perhaps. Failing which, the next best thing. Uri Geller in a helicopter.
Who is Uri Geller? I mean, he is a man of mystery. Is he a shaman? Is he a medicine man? Is he God? We just don't know. Is he all of these things? Or is he none of these things?
I found myself in a helicopter on the day of the match. There I was in the helicopter. I looked out of the window and I could see the players this big.
England are 1-0 up, only by the grace of Uri. But with 15 minutes left to play, Tony Adams hacks down jukebox Uri and Scotland get a penalty. Uri!
No, that wasn't me.
Up steps Gary McAllister, Scotland's most accomplished penalty taker.
He puts the ball down and I said, this is it. I've got to do something. I've got to move the ball away from his foot. So I looked out of the window and I shouted, 1, 2, 3, move!
It's Gary McAllister this week.
Move!
Oh, saved by Seaman!
Lo and behold, the ball moved.
I saw it move. I shat myself.
If you look really, really closely, yeah, you'll see Uri Geller's genius at work, because most people would have thought, why doesn't he move the ball like a yard? That's not Geller's style. His is move it that much. That's all it takes to make someone miss a penalty.
Instead of making the ball move, Uri Geller has made the football pitch move, he's made the whole of Europe move, he's made the world move. And I think that is probably a testament to say that Uri Geller should be locked up.
The Scottish fans were mystified. Sir Alex Ferguson was livid.
I honestly can't get my head around how or why it moved. Can't be gravity, it can't be like wind, it can't be nothing like that.
Oh, saved by Seaman!
Yet again, England had bullied Scotland the Brave. Not with football, but with an unholy, God-forsaken sorcery.
Move, move, move.
The likes of which had never been seen before.
I believe that that's how I move that ball. Mind power.
Is it moving yet?
Next up, it's those Dutch again. We're at Euro 2008, and this is the shocking moment when one of them took the term bench warming to a whole new level.
Some interesting scenes on the Dutch bench during that game against Romania. Not quite sure what's gone on here.
I think I smell alright. You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out who did that one. He's the only one who isn't covering his nose with anything. First rule in the playground, mate.
And look at the face of delight and the face of utter despair.
Yep, Tottenham's Van der Vaart did the rhyme, did the crime, and was caught on prime time.
The fuck must have been awful. I mean, Van der Sar and Wesley Sneijder look like they're in absolute tatters.
Not quite sure what's gone on here.
So Van der Vaart has done a fart. What's Gary going to come up with?
They're looking at them like they're blaming somebody.
Van der Smell.
They're covering their noses. What's gone on?
Van der Blow off.
Van der Whoopsie Bum.
No.
Yeah. Can't think of anything.
And of course that player they're looking at is Van der Vaart.
Van der Vaart.
Clever, Gary, well done.
I can only apologise, but it was irresistible, wasn't it?
There we have it. Another classic goal line tap-in from Lineker. Premier League ref Howard Webb is never far from controversy, brandishing a record 14 yellow cards in the 2010 World Cup final for starters. But what happened to this mild-mannered policeman at Euro 2008 was not a fair cop. It's the 93rd minute of the Austria-Poland game when this happened.
And Howard Webb's given a penalty, would you believe it?
The guy's pulling his shirt. I think it was a definite penalty.
The English referee is at the centre of it all.
The officials, UEFA and Austria also agreed it was a penalty.
Vastic powers the ball home.
Oddly enough, the Poles didn't agree.
Leo Beenhakker in front of us is going absolutely apoplectic over that decision by Howard Webb.
This penalty effectively sealed their fate. The Austrians got bragging rights, the Poles were out, and they went to war.
It's traditional for the losing manager and the losing team to look for a scapegoat, because otherwise they have to blame themselves.
And Leo Beenhakker found his scapegoat all right.
The referee sees something nobody saw, and probably he wants to show that he is a big boy and that he has the guts to do it. I don't know.
Howard Webb's a perfect scapegoat, as all referees are.
It wasn't just the manager that went mental. The entire Polish nation soon went ballistic with a massive hate campaign against poor little Howard. Even their Prime Minister, Tusk, went on record and said he wanted to kill him.
When you get a Prime Minister using a word like kill in the context of a football match, that's when you know the game's really crazy.
And ironically, policeman Webb had to seek his own police protection. I mean, who'd want to be horrible to a ref?
I guess ahead of a big tournament, David, preparation is key.
Absolutely. Diet, training, the all-important tough warm-up match.
It's a tough warm-up match.
Yeah, you know, the likes of Holland, France, Brazil.
Or a bunch of rank amateurs from a small town that nobody's ever heard of.
It's 1988, and with the likes of footballing giants Holland and the USSR in their group, solid pre-tournament preparation was paramount for England.
So here we were, a
Bees a home Premier League team, and then suddenly running on the pitch was Gary Lineker, John Barnes, Peter Beardsley, these superstars at the time.
So, in an effort to find a team worse than them for a confidence boost, England warmed up against Aylesbury United.
In our team we had a DJ, a few builders, quite a few builders, we had some couriers.
Well done! Pre-match rituals included the annual speed chew-off between Chris Woods and Mark Haitley, and the traditional hiding of Gary Lineker's shorts. Give 'em back, Beardsley, give 'em back. This was a massive spectacle, and the whole town turned up to see England's vital pre-Euro preparation.
It was just really exciting. We had a record crowd watching the game. There were people in the trees watching, people on roofs watching.
Princess Diana turned up to show support, and even the mayor popped in. The battle commenced, and after a tense opening 15 seconds, England went on to score 7 goals, and Aylesbury would have to take any chance that came their way.
We had a free kick plan that I'd seen from Man United, and so we used to do that, and I scored quite a few goals from it as well. So we thought, why not? Why not try it on the England team? And as the ball was coming over to me, I thought Peter Shilton was going to come and clatter me, so I better head it really hard. And I headed it over the bar, fell to the floor, and in that split second I thought, what have I done? I'll never get this chance again, and I'll remember it forever. And I do. Like, every time I see it, I think I should have scored easily.
All right, Cliff.
Scored 301 goals over the career for Aylesbury. Should have been 302 playing against England.
Let it go, Cliff. Let it go. So, buoyed and inspired by their stunning victory, the England team jetted off to Euro 88, brimming with confidence, and duly lost all 3 group games, coming straight home. Holland, one of the most gifted footballing nations in the history of the game. A country capable of moments like this.
On with the shot. Oh,
like this.
2-0.
And like this.
Beckham! Dennis Beckham, there's the ball on! Dennis Beckham!
Against 10-man Italy in Euro 2000 semi-final, Holland were not going to miss this opportunity to go all the way.
And he's pointed to the penalty spot.
And that opportunity arrived for Frank de Boer in the 38th minute.
De Boer, brilliant save.
Unusual, but not to worry, there was another one round the corner.
Oh, goodness me.
2 penalty misses in open play for the Dutch? Shocking. The game remained goalless and went on to a penalty shootout, so they could start afresh, and this guy de Boer never misses twice.
This is character. A little wink, he's already missed one.
Cheeky.
I'd put money on him to score.
That confident, Barry Davies.
De Boer. Oh, but he doesn't.
First miss in the penalty shootout. But next up is the fearless rock of a man, Jaap Stam.
The manager came up to me, Jaap, you want to take a penalty kick? And I said, yeah, why not? At that time I was pissed off and I said, well, give me the ball, I'm going to take it, I'm going to knock it as hard as I can into the net.
Jaap will knock this one in for sure. I'd bet Barry Davies' house on that.
Oh! Miles into the crowd. And look at the face of delight and the face of utter despair.
I already was upset, and when that happened I was a bit more upset, to be fair.
And that very nearly was up in the roof. Not of the net, but of the stadium.
Not only does he miss, he skies it so high, he kills an eagle.
Kluivert scored one in between, but as Bosvelt lined up to take the decisive one, the Dutch masters were about to create the kind of history that would have made Van Gogh chop his other ear off.
It's all over for Holland. The Dutch are out.
The 5 penalties missed by the Dutch that day go down as the most missed in any single game in the history of international football.
It's the fact that they're actually shitter at penalties than England. It's shameful.
So where did you get that from?
Nowhere.
What you're about to witness is one of the most scandalous events in modern football history. It was the final of Euro 96. Germany v the Czech Republic, and the Czechs won a penalty.
And he scores!
And they took the lead.
That was no ordinary penalty. That was a massive dive outside the penalty box.
The Czechs knew this, and they were about to perform the biggest cover-up in Euro history.
If you just watch Horniak in the background there, this is just after the penalty's been given. He picks up the divot that Zammer's made in his tackle, and you can just see on the edge of your screen about a foot outside the box the divot mark, and that's where he's going to put it.
This was dive outside the box and replace the turf before anyone noticed we cheated gate.
Maybe he's just a very environmentally friendly guy who didn't want it to look unsightly on TV.
Powered on by the quest for justice, the Germans soon restored world order and won. There's nothing the Germans hate more than a diving cheat.
And shot! Oh, and Kuban! And it's gone in!
And the Queen was overjoyed to hand over the trophy to Herr Klinsmann, who I believe is her first cousin. Gary Lineker wasn't always the tan-smoothed, armchair-sitting football-talky man. No. With 48 goals in 80 appearances, he was once a prolific England goal-scoring legend.
Magnificent goal!
Everyone loved Lineker. But at Euro 92, Graham Taylor was about to perform his most sordid act as England manager.
Gary Lineker is being pulled off by the England manager.
I mean, who wants to see the England manager pulling off Gary Lineker?
You shouldn't say that as a child.
And then he called me back to get my top off.
Don't do it, Graham. Don't do it.
Substitution to be made. Gary Lineker.
No!
And that's when the numbers went up and I realised Gary was coming off. So, big shock, really.
Alan Smith was surprised. Goodness me, the rest of us were astounded by the substitution.
It's the final group game. We've got to get a goal, otherwise we're out of Euro 92. So what does Graham Taylor do? He brings off the greatest goalscorer of his generation, Gary Lineker, and replaces him with Alan Smith.
And if England don't make it to the semi-finals, what an unhappy end we are watching to Gary Lineker's England career.
With Lineker off, England never scored that goal and they were duly eliminated. But that wasn't a shock, really. No. The shock appeared the next day as probably the harshest, most enduring and most turnipy headline ever cultivated.
Graham Taylor a turnip, I think really it was, of its sort, the biggest insult that had ever been thrown at an England manager.
Harsh, but it was a headline, wasn't it? You know, headlines quite often are.
Well, quite a lot of my close friends are turnips, and if you're honest, speaking for them, they're really pissed off about being compared to Graham Taylor.
And the rest is history. England were out, the manager did not like that, turnips were livid, and Gary Lineker was never heard from again.
David, you got 53 caps with England. You've kept more clean sheets than any other Premiership keeper.
True.
You write for The Observer, you paint, you model for Armani. But have you ever written a song?
No, but I bet I could have written this one.
England football has a very proud tradition of making awful music. And history has proven that footballers are as comfortable singing these songs as they are performing their own open heart surgery.
This time, more than any other time, this time.
But in 1988, they combined music and performance to hit an all-time low. Quite why they agreed to sing this rubbish live on primetime television, nobody will ever know.
You've got to ask the question, whose fucking idea was it? It's ridiculous. None of them want to be there.
It's like a dancing bear, you know, stand there, dance. Dance, I tell you, dance.
It's like watching all your uncles at a wedding. It's horrific.
These are our sort of national heroes. You want a footballer to be a proud, skillful man. You know, you don't want him standing up there singing some song by Stock Aitken Waterman.
Steve McMahon, who was a really fearsome player, couldn't look any more intimidating and unhappy.
He's a man's man, McMahon. He ain't gonna sing, and if you try and make him, he'll punch you in the face.
Tony Adams looked like he'd been dragged out of a nightclub, to be honest.
Instead of doing it properly, he's kind of turning like this because it's like a dance, which at best is bad gym practice, isn't it, from a professional athlete? He's going to injure his back.
They put Peter Reid at the back because it is pre-Watershed. You know, no one wants to see that before 9 o'clock. The kids have got to go to bed, they'll have nightmares.
There's a strange man with a tash. Who is he?
No one knows who he is. I don't know if he's someone's dad, someone's granddad, or just an old bloke who works on Wogan. Just, I'll get in on this one. It looks like anyone can join in.
To be honest, I can't see any difference between this rendition of the song and one of those 08-09 adverts with guys dancing around offering you sort of quite dubious services. The only thing is, you know, I find the England team singing that song more sexually threatening.
Unfortunately, this was proven to be England's best performance of 1988, going all the way to the Euros, losing all 3 group games, and immediately going all the way home. 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 Still to come, the sublime.
Oh, brilliant! Oh, yes! Oh, yes!
The ridiculous.
I sang My Penis is a Mountain.
And the downright nasty.
Oh, that's an elbow, isn't it?
The end of an era, or just another example of unparalleled resilience?
At number 30, it's our friends the Germans again, and at Euro 2000, the champions of Europe were out to defend their title and their honour. But not usually known for breaking rank, they shockingly decided to rebel and overthrow their manager.
Didi Hamann, Markus Babbel and Christian Ziege and a few others had this great idea to get rid of Ribbeck and put Matthäus up on the bench.
We all felt the same way, that we need to make a change before the tournament to be successful.
Unfortunately, Matthäus bottled it.
And it caused such bad feeling and discontent in the camp that they went on to have the worst tournament ever.
This team is in danger of going home only with the wooden spoon.
They were shocking, so shocking they were beaten by a rubbish England and an understrength Portugal.
And Germany conceding a goal to the Portuguese second team. Sensing a hat-trick, and he's got it!
They were so bad that the Portuguese substitutes had to provide their own entertainment.
I'm bored. I'm the chairman of the board.
And having failed to win a single game, this was the worst tournament performance in the history of German football.
And here tonight in Rotterdam, they've been simply awful.
So let that be a lesson to us all. Don't change your manager on the eve of a major tournament. That would be ridiculous.
It's unthinkable now, but then it was even more unthinkable.
Scotland have never reached the quarter-finals of any major tournament, but here at Euro 96, there was the remotest glimmer of possibility.
Scotland had hope, and they thought, maybe, just maybe, this is our time.
The Scots needed to beat the Swiss at Villa Park, whilst their group rivals England were taking on Holland at Wembley at the same time. And should Scotland win and England hammer the Dutch, then they'd both go through. But what are the odds of that?
He's gone!
It was just one of the best ever England performances. It was flawless.
I shed a tear that night, there's no question.
It's set up for Gerrard! 3-0! Brilliant play from England! Off it goes Sheringham! It gets better and better and better!
Then Rembrandt, Vermeer, Van Gogh, Van Halen, Van Basten, Van der Vaar, Van Outen, Queen Beatrix, Jaap Stam, Edam, William of Orange. Can you hear me? Your boys are taking one hell of a beating. Meanwhile, 100 miles up the road, Scotland had done the unthinkable.
Here's Ali McCoy. Yeah! At long last, a goal for Scotland.
The impossible was happening.
Scotland were on the verge of joining us in the European quarter-finals on goal difference.
No matter how many times we've been disappointed, we always go, no, it's fine. No, maybe this time. We're like the abused wife of an alcoholic husband.
If things stayed the same, Scotland were through. The one thing that could spoil Scotland's day and knock them out would be if England let in a goal. But they'd never do that. Never.
To Bergkamp. This is Clivert.
Nutmeg.
And Holland have got one back.
Deep down, we all knew it was coming.
You can imagine someone on the touchline going, "No, 1-0 up. Let one in. Let one in." Clivert, goal. Yeah. Oh, did they? Oh.
You know, a lot of people say England did it intentionally, and you probably did. And I don't resent you, because we would have done the exact same thing.
So, Scotland were cruelly stripped of yet another football dream.
Yeah, well, it's the hope in it that kills you.
Whilst their old enemy got another scoreline to harp on and on and on about.
And I still think that was the greatest England performance probably since 1966.
And one day that could be you, baby Rio and baby Lamps. In the meantime, put Sheringham's wallet back. The French, the inventors of love, kissing and sexiness, play their football with the style you'd expect. And if football be the language of love, then play on, Francais, play on. But in a moment of madness, one Frenchman went a little too far with his hands.
Oh, that's an elbow, isn't it? That's an elbow by Desailly.
This wasn't very French. Shocking.
And Desailly was lucky, wasn't he?
Yeah, he is very, very lucky, because if the referee sees this from this angle, he's off the pitch. Yep. Bye-bye. And that was wrong.
Desailly got away with it, but what's a busted face between friends? It's England's opening game of Euro 2000, and the nation is brimming with optimism for the new campaign. England are facing the mighty Portuguese, and whatever that is, and they go 2-0 up within 18 minutes.
Beckham's goals, McMillan!
It's so exciting because we're 2-0 up against Portugal, like a great team, and we're going to have this famous victory.
2-0 up, it should be safe, but this is England we're talking about, so of course it's not safe.
Of course it's not. England's ability to shoot themselves in the foot, or the work experience's foot if you're Ashley Cole, is legendary.
Oh, goodness me.
It was like, oh yeah, so we've been good, but they can do that.
Now can he deliver the cross? Rui Costa, he can!
Oh. They can also do that. And that.
You just want to start crying when you see that happening, don't you?
But most shockingly of all, still bitter about his World Cup sending off 2 years earlier, the fans took it out on one man. Give up, Beckham. They're never going to like you.
David, name some things that Holland is famous for.
Tulips, windmills, Edam, bicycles, the Eindhoven Pencil Museum.
Yeah, good. And their hatred of the Germans.
Ah, yes, that.
At number 26, it's those Germans again. And it's fair to say there's no love lost between them and England, but shockingly, there's one nation that can't stand them even more.
And they hate each other.
Yes, the Netherlands, a nation that would readily commit the ultimate insult and spit in a German's mullet.
The rivalry between the two countries, of course, is still very big. Up till now, it's still, it keeps on going.
They had a bigger problem with us than we have with them.
The Dutch don't like the Germans because they tend to win. Germans don't like the Dutch because while they're not winning, they're universally revered for the beautiful game.
And at Euro 92, they took this rivalry beyond the mullet shampoo, forcing the Germans to commit the ultimate act of disrespect.
The booing from the Dutch fans was so deafening that unwittingly the German players broke off midway through their national anthem and had a bit of a kickabout. I mean, for once, you've got to feel a little bit sorry for the Germans. Steady on there, fella.
When it comes to German baiting, the Dutch are in a league of their own. Football, the ancient art of sticking the round thing in the back of this netty thing. Like this. Or like this. But every once in a blue moon you get one of these. A break from the norm. It's called a terrible miss. A freak of nature, if you will. And sometimes a miss that's so abhorrent it leaves you questioning life itself.
Oh, goodness me!
The miss from Robert Earnshaw is one of the most disgusting misses I've ever seen in my life.
6 yards out, open net, harder to miss. Brilliant.
Oh, goodness me!
My missus's granddad's 93 years old and he could have put that in.
England v Wales in a 2012 Euro qualifier. Earnshaw couldn't have picked a bigger audience for humiliation.
Whatever he achieves in his life, he could win the European Cup, the Premier League, he could become a humanitarian, he could win the Nobel Peace Prize. But one day, in the future, some guy's going to come up to him in a pub in Cardiff and say, "Are you the guy who missed against England?"
A missed opportunity to stick one over the old enemy is hard to forget, Robert, but well worth the effort.
Is the fine line between a genius and someone that lives next door that should have a electronic tag.
By the time Euro 96 rolled up, English funny man, pop star and celebrity party guy Paul Gascoigne was the most popular gent in the country. The country was Gaza-mental, but his boozy antics were threatening to destroy probably England's greatest ever natural talent.
He was brilliant, unpredictable, compelling to watch, but he was flawed, he was neurotic, and he was only truly happy when he was playing football.
He was on the edge, his public were losing faith in him, and he needed to win them back. The stage was set, and it was time for Gaza to remind us he was a godlike genius of a footballer.
Oh, brilliant! Oh, yes! Oh, yes!
Oh, what a goal. What a goal.
It will still be my favourite England goal ever.
It was brilliant. It was a brilliant moment, I thought, in England's history, really.
Oh, it was incredible when he chips it over Man Mountain, Colin Hendry, the scariest footballer alive, and his volleys in the bottom corner. Loved it.
Against Scotland, like at Wembley. Massive. Rod Stewart cried.
You score one great goal on the biggest stage and all's forgiven.
Half man, half genius, half lager, Gaza, in one sublime moment, had been resurrected. Gaza was back forever. Well, kind of.
David, you're a good painter. Who are your favourite artists? Picasso, Van Gogh?
Who? I'd say Van Basten.
I absolutely love Marco van Basten.
Van Basten was the complete striker.
The player of the year is Marco van Basten.
At 23, it's Holland's Marco van Basten, and in 1992, he was a man that could do no wrong. European Footballer of the Year, UEFA Player of the Year, FIFA World Player of the Year, and Best Cake Winner at the Utrecht Harvest Festival. He was on top of the world.
He was my idea of the perfect centre-forward. With his build, he was strong, he was great in the air, he had a touch to die for.
Which is why, when given the chance to take his country to the Euro 92 final, you'd bet your windmill on it. All he has to do is slot this penalty past this Danish novice.
And everybody had a lot of confidence in him to score this penalty.
It's Van Basten, of course he's going to score.
Marco van Basten is going to spank this home.
Oh, save!
History had been made. A footballing god had just become a mere mortal.
Well, that didn't go to plan.
And when he misses, you know, it was a big disappointment, of course, for everybody and especially for himself.
Then tell that to your face, Jaap.
Such a great striker like Van Basten, and his career ends on a staggering anticlimax.
The Danes went through to the final. Van Basten retired soon after that. But no one's quite sure what happened to that Danish goalkeeper fella.
They might know what people want. There's no better bacon.
Croatia, the pearl of the Adriatic, a country of such incredible natural beauty, they like to sing about it in their national anthem.
I think Croatian national anthem is beautiful and it really sings about the beauty of my country.
Unfortunately, one man, in an unholy moment of misfortune, insulted an entire nation and degraded this beloved anthem for generations to come.
I cannot speak Croatian, but I was invited to sing for the 2008 Euro qualifier.
But changing one letter of one word can make a ducking idiot out of you.
Tony Henry sang it beautifully. And it was very impressive, but then at the end, he made a little blunder.
Mila Kuda Si Planina talks about the beautiful hills and the mountains instead of singing about the beauty of the mountains. I sang My Penis is a Mountain.
Well, I don't think anybody likes their mountains be compared to dicks.
After I announced that my penis was a mountain, sadly, I didn't get a lot of attention from the Croatian women.
I thought size didn't matter.
The Croatians went on to beat England, and I believe Henry is currently touring with the Chippendales. When it comes to Sol Campbell scoring last-minute winners in major competitions, he's not the luckiest man in town.
No, the referee has ruled it out. And Argentina have already taken the free kick.
Having had one disallowed against Argentina at the '98 World Cup, you'd think he'd had enough.
Come back to what you know.
6 years later, the same thing happens again. Campbell has a goal disallowed, game finishes 2-2, England lose on penalties.
This time it was against the Portuguese in the quarters at Euro 2004.
The press didn't like what had happened and, in their unique way, decided to take it out on Urs Meijer very personally.
Which, when decisions go against England, is perfectly reasonable.
Section of the English press went after the referee, Urs Meijer. Headlines like Urshole, some fantastic puns, Swiss banker.
But then they went further. The Sun staked out his house and started draping St George's Cross.
England was having a free-for-all on Meijer. They were all having a go.
Asda decided to give free eye tests to all Swiss nationals. Another paper accidentally gave out his email address.
And in response, Meijer got 16,000 abusive emails, along with 17,000 large money gifts from African banks and 23,000 offers of penis enlargements. So next time, if you're a referee and thinking of disallowing an England goal, think again. Coming up, appalling behaviour.
It's a bit of that British bulldog spirit that we need now, you know? I think that's what we're missing.
Appalling arrogance.
It was like Mick Jagger touching clock.
And a ball in the...
Oh, right in the patatas bravas. Ouch.
When the threat of the Gulag and salt mines didn't cut it anymore, the Russians had a controversial idea on how to inspire their players to victory. Yep, just before Euro 2004, the players' wives whipped their kits off for their lads in one arty calendar.
Basically, they're saying, lads, do badly. This is what you've got when you get home.
She sat at home, completely naked, while her husband's in another country. I'm not surprised those fellas went out of the group stage. They want to get back, stop their missus getting nailed by some other fella from number 46, Boris, from down the road.
Don't you wish your girlfriend was hot?
This idea really caught the imagination, and there was even talk of the English wags doing the same thing to inspire their fellas.
The idea of the English players having this calendar by the wives, nice idea, you know, it's a bit of titillation, it's nice and fun for the majority of them, but it could be one or two on that team, not mentioning any names, perhaps a former captain.
John Terry?
You know, might not look at that as a calendar, more as a challenge.
With 2 defeats and 1 narrow victory, the Russians came straight home to their naked wives, which kind of defeated the object. Back to the gulag it is then.
You're fit, but my gosh, don't you know it?
Das Vidanya.
When you represent England on tour, you have to be dignified at all times, right?
Yes, Richard, yes.
You're an ambassador for the country. Respect, restraint, decorum.
Yes, absolutely.
Or you can just get bladdered and go on a mad, drunken rampage.
To some, this simply looks like a parched gentleman being hydrated by his responsible teammates. But to others, this is the most controversial goal celebration in England's Euro history. How so?
Well, it all started on a pre-Euro 96 tour of Hong Kong when LTEL decided to let the boys have a little night off.
But when you let a Gaza loose in the city, there's only going to be one outcome.
Professional football players representing their country getting off their face and torturing each other with drink in a dentist chair. Brilliant. What great preparation as an athlete.
The idea is that the bartender would lay you back, put the dentist chair back, pour the tequila, and it would be a pretty big hit of tequila, probably a double or triple shot, depending on how much the bartender liked you.
But it was Gazza's birthday, you know, and the way I saw it, it was the England team, and it was all bonding, and, you know, that was a bit of that British bulldog spirit that we need now, you know. I think that's what we're missing.
It looked 100 times worse than it actually was. But I think just the fact that it was 10 days before the European Championships were started.
And like all responsible adults, the England role models put these shameful antics behind them, never to raise the subject again. Come on, this was Gaza we were talking about.
We watched the England-Scotland game and we all just kind of stopped and went, that's the dentist chair. They're reenacting what happened 10 days ago.
The fact that you celebrated by abusing alcohol, we went, yeah, go on.
After having watched Gaza in the dentist chair, I was about 9, and that was it, full-blown alky, because of him. Yeah. Still are.
I will never forget having to sit in my own front room and tell Rio Ferdinand that the FA and England were not going to take Rio to play in Istanbul against Turkey.
England dropped Ferdinand after his missed drugs test.
It was the eve of the vital 2004 Euro qualifier, and this news broke as the England team headed off to their training retreat. But the FA hadn't reckoned upon one man who was about to bring it on.
What happened in the days afterwards built the reputation of Gary Neville, Red Nev. He's fearsome when he's fighting in your corner, and when he's not in your corner, look out.
And indeed, Red Nev, leader of men, gathered his revolutionary mob together for serious discussion.
We've just come out of a meeting. We have decided that if Rio's not reinstated into the squad, then we'll boycott the game on Saturday against Turkey.
Gary Neville was revolting and had led the entire England squad in an unholy turf war against his own FA.
England's strike.
As I say, the players will be meeting again this evening, and we very much look forward to hearing the outcome of the players' discussions.
We just had another meeting, and the could disqualify us from the competition.
For the first time in history, the FA were under threat from their own players, and there was only one man who could save the day. No, not you, Blondie.
Gary Neville was perfectly serious about calling a strike. Then he got the call from Sir Alex Ferguson saying that this would define him as a player, and it would have done. It would have been a catastrophic error on his part. It would have finished him, and Ferguson talked him out of it, and it's just as well he did.
The players backed down and headed off to the Euros, and the nation owed a debt of gratitude to Fergie. Quite why he chose to save the old enemy is a mystery to this day.
It was like watching your normal telly and someone having a barbecue in your front room.
When Czech manager Josef Chovanec claims not to have seen his team's misdemeanours in this game, you'd think he'd had a touch of the Wengers. But in this instance, you'd have to believe him. Because this is the view that he, the fans and the viewing TV public got in this Euro 2000 qualifier.
You couldn't see anything. And to be fair, in a game of Faroe Islands v Czech Republic, I didn't really want to.
The players could barely see their own feet, and yet they still played on.
There is a lot of stuff you can get away with in fog. You could pull a gun on somebody, you could perform a vasectomy.
I'd sneak on a few more players.
I'd play Willy Banjo, but that's just me.
He could have ran over and headbutted someone, kicked him in the nuts, and then, you know, slept with his wife. And all of this could have gone on, and you still wouldn't have known any of it had happened.
Yes, you could pretty much get away with anything in fog like that, and the Czechs did.
When the Faroes threw the ball out so one of their players could get medical attention, they expected the Czechs to throw it back. That's the done thing in sport, but the Czechs didn't do that. They threw it to themselves, they went up the other end, and they scored a goal. Cheats.
The Czechs qualified for the Euros, the Faroes didn't, and the fog emigrated to the Tyne. Haven't I seen that bloke somewhere before?
Arrogant twat.
Harsh words, Frankie. It was the deciding penalty in the Euro 96 semi. Score this, and Andreas Möller would take his German team to the final, and England would be out. But what shocked the England faithful far more was this piece of tasteless posturing right in their faces.
The Germans go through again.
When I saw that pose, I wanted to run on the pitch and roundhouse kick Möller in the face.
The old hands on the hips. It was like Mick Jagger touching cloth.
You want the moves like Jagger. I've got the moves like Jagger. I've got the moves like Jagger.
But there was one consolation though. Earlier in the game, after kicking out at Stuart Pearce like a petulant little schoolgirl, he was yellow carded and banned for the final itself. Schadenfreude, which is German for tosser.
You modelled pants, didn't you?
Yeah, I love pants, me.
So, you wear pants?
Of course. What kind of idiot goes out without his pants?
The French love a cock. They've even got one on their shirts. But when it came to the French tradition of taking one out and waving it around for good luck, one man took this a little too literally.
That little flash of brilliance kind of worked, didn't he?
Bet his Willie's a genius anyway. He'd do stuff with his Willie that we couldn't even dream of doing with our Willies. If you're Italy and you're watching Zidane, you think this guy's the best player in the world, he's handsome, he's got an attractive wife. You go, he's probably got a small penis. That's fine. As soon as you see that, you're like, oh, this guy's immortal.
All right. He's not that good at footy, is he? Cue montage. Okay, so you've got it all, Zinedine. Bet you can't eat an entire Viennetta in one sitting. I can.
Fabio Capello is already on his way back to his native Italy. It seems he couldn't wait to leave the English football bubble quick enough.
When Fabio Capello resigned, I was genuinely surprised. Most people were. I also didn't think he would quit on England so close to a major championship, and I thought that was despicable.
Capello resigned 4 months before Euro 2012 after John Terry controversy number 73, when the FA stripped him of his captaincy. But across London town on the very same day, something else quite unexpected happened.
The jury were absolutely unanimous that, you know, there was no case to answer, so...
It was a strange day, wasn't it? You know, Harry was acquitted and Fabio says acquitted.
Odd that the unpopular England coach should resign within hours of the nation's choice being cleared. Strange.
Those two stories came together in that astounding way. Harry Redknapp's trial on alleged tax evasion issues and Capello's television interview and its aftermath. It was coincidence.
Coincidence? Surely not. But it was. After 3 months of letting Harry believe he had the job for the task ahead, it was no surprise when the FA unveiled their choice. Roy Hodgson...
Looking forward enormously to the task ahead. Everyone knows it's not an easy one. I'll do my very best to make sure the team is as well prepared as possible for the task that lie ahead.
David, have you ever taken a serious blow to the crown jewels?
No.
Would you like to?
No, thank you, Richard.
Fair enough.
At 13, we're back at Euro 96. It was the quarter-finals and England were being overrun by the vastly superior Spanish. And in particular, one giant of a man, so awesome in stature that even his mother knew him only as the Beast.
What's that coming over the hill? Is it a monster? Is it a monster?
Miguel Nadal, he was called the Beast because players were scared of him. He had a formidable tackle, he had a presence.
This colossus was bossing the game, and if England had any hope of winning, then something extraordinary was needed. Ballsy, if you will. Step forward, forever injured, Darren Sicknote Anderton. And in a modern day Darren v Goliath, Sicknote took on the Beast.
Oh, right in the patatas bravas.
This was like pinpoint accuracy. Like, you couldn't have designed like a missile to be more accurate.
Sicknote managed to find his Achilles bollock. We've all got one.
Down goes Nadal. Certainly felt the power of that shot.
Saying childbirth's like the most painful thing ever, but there's no comparison. I
think you should nip on maternity ward and just say,
well,
yeah. Man up, love. You've never been kicked in knackers. What's up with you?
I have no doubt that he's genuinely hurt here.
Yes, I think I'm sure he'll get up on his feet, take a few deep breaths. Don't think they'll be using the ice pack on him anyway.
Little did we know that Anderton had changed the fate of our nation forever in one inspired moment.
It's the greatest stunt Darren Anderton's ever pulled off since he decided to have 7 years off on full pay.
The game ended 0-0. It went to penalties and Gaza put England 4-2 up. It was all down to one man. Still reeling from his bollock buster and with semen in his face, the Beast stepped up to take the deciding spot kick.
That's the score.
And missed. England went through to the semis that day, and many remember the heroics of Seaman, but few recall the real hero, Darren Sicknote Anderton, who achieved more in that one moment than in the rest of his international career put together. When it comes to tossing away victory in the final moments of a game, then perhaps the Italians take the biscotti. They're about to win the Euro 2000 final as the game heads into the dying seconds.
They're all lining up, ready to run out and start celebrating and cheering. They've won it, haven't they?
Right, Mystic Motti?
It's never over until the referee says it is, so let's see what the French can do even in stoppage time.
It's that thing, isn't it? Nothing can go wrong now.
No, nothing. By which, of course, I mean the opposite.
Oh, I tell you what, Viltor's got a chance for France. It's a goal! They've equalised. In the 3rd minute of stoppage time, Roger Lemaire's world champions are still alive. And the Italians can't believe it.
Sylvain Wiltord had just shattered the Italians' hearts in the 94th minute.
Italians have a history of folding. They've done it in previous tournaments, and you knew when that goal went in that psychologically they were shot.
And yes, the game went to golden goal, and minutes later, they went and did this.
Trezeguet! France have won the European Championship to add to the World Cup.
They'd done the unthinkable. Literally minutes ago, they were total losers. Even Motti goes mental, talking in tongues.
Allez les Bleus!
Although French President Jacques Chirac is yet to notice, having just gained a young lady's phone number.
The Italian players absolutely floored. They can't believe this.
When it comes to heartbreak, Italy are on a totally different scale to England.
To lose like that, when it's yours to lose, it's brutal.
Cue Italian tears. Cue obligatory shots of bouncing female fan. Yeah, I know, mate, yeah. Cue more Italians crying. And cue smug Frenchmen. Sacre bleu.
Look at him, the guy's a fashion icon.
In 1996, a brand new style god was born. A man with panache, joie de vivre, and a massive chin.
Is it 'cause I'm cool? Why you dress like me? Is it
Jimmy Hill's bow tie. It's an honour to wear it.
And this white and red striped bow tie will go with any outfit.
Yeah, I think the whole scene really benefited from Jimmy Hill's pioneering take on the bow tie.
God bless him, you know, he sat there between Alan Hansen and Ruud Gullit, and he's obviously thought to himself, you know, how am I going to stand out in between these two charismatic pundits? You know, I know what I'll do. I'll wear a bow tie with a St. George cross on it. That ought to spice up this party.
A little bit of a feature around the neck area will detract from the fact that his chin's actually 1.5 miles in length.
Who'd have thought, you know, did St. George think all those years ago when he stabbed a dragon through the heart with a pointed flag that many years later Jimmy Hill would wear that very same flag as a bow tie around his neck?
And yet the influence of one man and that tie didn't stop there. Oh no, it went on to inspire for decades. And it's fair to say that in all things great in Britain today, there's a little bit of Jimmy in all of them. So, with 10 stories to go, what will be the Euro's most shocking moment?
Oh, he's given the penalty!
We should be going berserk. We were.
Greece winning was like me winning a Grand Prix event without a car.
Please, Piercy, please, just smash it.
At number 10, it's those Dutch masters again, playing Cyprus in a Euro 88 qualifier. The shock wasn't that they only beat them 8-0, or that Dutch striker Johnny Bosman scored a record 5 goals. No, this game was far more fun than that. In fact, it was a blast. Initially, it was thought that show-off goalkeeper Charitou was trying to make a dramatic entrance.
You know, it goes off and there's a big load of smoke and you half expect a ninja to appear, or David Copperfield or Gandalf.
But it was soon clear to everyone that it was a little more serious. Everyone, apart from the players, that is.
It's just a bomb, people. Keep playing. Come on! Get going!
The smoke bomb eventually brought the game to a halt, and as with most terrible injuries, the photographers were called for.
When anyone goes down like that, I think you should properly test them out how they did in the old days and just stab them and see if he's really injured.
As pandemonium ruled, there was no danger of a game breaking out anytime soon.
It was white smoke, so in effect, I think they had just elected a pope.
After an hour, the game carried on. Holland won 8-0, but UEFA decided a replay would be fairer.
Some people were saying why, and other people were saying, because there was a bomb? Maybe that's why we should replay the game. There was a bomb on the field? Perhaps that's why?
The goalie recovered, the Dutch smoke bomber went to prison, and rumours that it was all the work of an evil betting syndicate were made up by me just now. Shite.
Whim.
Penis.
Fuchs.
Minge. Shit off. Arse. Ballot. Fuck all. De cock. No, it's not a half-time talk from Fergie. These are some of the greatest footballer names ever to grace the back of a shirt. But there's one name that stands head and shoulders above all others. A name of epic proportions. A name that brought smiles to every man, woman and giggling schoolboy at Euro 96.
Kuntz.
Kuntz.
Stefan Kuntz.
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 My name is Kuntz. Stefan Kuntz.
When this man burst onto the scene in Euro 96, you could be forgiven for thinking commentators were suffering from a bout of Tourette's.
Elmer Kuntz, it's 1-1.
And mischievous pundits could barely let the opportunity go by without taking a crack at it themselves.
Part of them, all got Kuntz up front.
And throughout Euro 96, he was the gift that kept on giving.
As soon as a commentator sees that name on the team sheet, I think he's just saying, oh no. Oh no, why me today?
Say my name, say my name.
Kuntz on the far side. Kuntz in the middle. Southgate with Kuntz. Kuntz is up here. Kuntz at the far post! Oh, goodness me.
Born to Christa and Gunter Kuntz in 1962, not even they could have foreseen the cult status, that's cult status, afforded to their little boy.
And it's going to be Stefan Kuntz who steps forward.
This goal was the reason for the biggest lie I ever made to my mom. My mom, she looked at the video of Football's Coming Home. And my mom asked me, why did they change the shirt? But I cannot explain to my mom what our name means in English and why they do so much jokes about that. So I said to her, hey mom, I think it's because I scored in the semi-final.
Richard, we have to play the cock and Ballack together.
You don't know fuck all.
I do, actually. He's a very good friend of mine.
Gary Red Nev Neville, a man of many qualities, strong in the tackle and articulate in the chat, but a goal scorer he wasn't. So when it came to scoring his first goal for England, he did it in true Neville style.
It's just a simple back pass from Gary Neville to Paul Robinson. And he just massively misses it.
Oh my goodness! Have you ever seen anything like that? England are 2-0 down.
99 times out of 100, he would have cleared that no problem, but the fact is it was a freak event. It's hit a little bobble just at the wrong moment and gone over his foot. Of course he's taken loads of stick for it.
So England go 2-0 down to Croatia in this ill-fated Euro 2008 qualifier, but this wasn't the most bizarre part of the farce.
And it cuts to Steve McClaren writing something down. I don't know what you'd write down at that point. I mean, like, 1, don't score an own goal.
What's he writing down? What is he working on? His CV, his resignation letters. What are you writing down?
Whatever it wasn't tactics, let me tell you. It was not tactics, all right?
He should be going berserk. We were.
As the own goal is scored, there's a big billboard of Borat comes up. He's actually writing it is, oh, Borat, on at the local multiplex. Yakshimash, you wonder what that means?
Yes, like the time Jesus appeared in my cornflakes, the Kazakhstani buffoon spookily appeared to inspire this fiasco. England lost, but on the upside, Paul Robinson is penciled in for Borat 2.
It was like Pavarotti winning a marathon.
You're unbelievable.
In 2004, a country 1/5 the size of England with no discernible football heritage managed to do something England have never done.
Greece winning the Euros that year was like me winning a Grand Prix event without a car.
That's tantamount to Crouchy pulling Abby Clancy.
Yep, in one of the most shocking Euro moments in the history of shocking Euro moments, these outsiders were crowned the champions of Europe 2004.
You're unbelievable.
Greece, man, they were 150 to 1. That means if you bet £1, you'd get £1 million back.
Before 2004, if someone had gone to you, Greece, name the 2 stars, you'd have gone John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John. After Euro 2004, Zagorakis and Karisteas.
I'm Aristides Sandis, the Greek ambassador to the court of St. James.
Hi, Aristides.
We were in a state of frenzy in Greece.
Very nice, very nice. So, not only had they done the impossible, but they did something else that every England fan could only dream of.
It was also brilliant to see Cristiano Ronaldo on the pitch at the end of the final, in tears, desolate. That was a bonus, the icing on the cake.
He was crying like a little baby, and I wanted to take him in my arms and go,
But we all know the Euros is the little brother to the big one. A warm-up to the greatest event on the planet.
There's one big prize out there, and bang, a year later, they win it. Eurovision 2005.
The future looked bright for Greece. What next?
So there's your Greeks, yeah? Smashed it in the European Championships. A year after, obliterated the Eurovision Song Contest. And now a few years later, they've, well, single-handedly destroyed the European currency.
Well done, Greece. Well done.
David, you may not like this one. It's a real shocker. I'm sorry to have to do this to you.
It's not the one about me, the Swedish bikini team, in the jacuzzi with Peter Crouch, the dwarfs and the goat?
No. No, it's about England.
Miss! At number 6 is the story of how a once proud man was reduced to wearing a paper bag over his head and eating pizza with clowns. It's June the 26th, 1996. It's the semi-finals and scores are level after extra time. Win this game and England will be through to their first final since 1966 and have a shot at eternal glory. All they have to do is get past those pesky Germans.
Once again, a contest between England and Germany has to be decided in a penalty competition.
But can England forget the penalty pain of World Cup 90? The first 5 penalties are taken and incredibly nobody misses.
We're moving on now to sudden death.
And then the moment came to separate the men from the boys. It's the chance to bring glory back to the nation. Gareth Southgate.
Why is Southgate taking the penalty?
There were other better equipped, more talented men to take that penalty.
Left on the halfway line were Ince, Anderton and McManaman. Sorry, Macca.
We had all these guys that know how to strike a ball.
You can't force them to, because that's only going to be counterproductive. So if Gareth Southgate says, yeah, I'll take one, boss, and he looks confident, he feels confident, you say, yeah, you can have it.
You can have nothing but sympathy. Didn't really get hold of it. The goalkeeper guessed right.
It's a feeling as a player that you've let the country down.
The other player's going to try and console Gareth Southgate, but there is no consolation.
For that one moment when England get to penalties, that's how it feels to be Scottish.
It's Germany again, Matt, please.
Don't worry, we all forgive you. Go on, take that bag off your head. You've still got your looks.
Thanks a lot, boys. I feel much better now. Ooh, this time he's at the post.
That's more of a wall, Piercy. More of a wall.
Will there ever be a day when England beat Germany on penalties? No.
This is umbrella that you are having.
Eh?
But it is not rain that we are seeing.
Sorry, mate. I don't get you. I don't speak Dutch.
English football is littered with iconic images. There's heroic Bobby Moore and the victory of the Cup of the World. There's brave Terry Butcher and the bandage of blood. And there's courageous Captain Bex and the conquering of the Greeks. And at number 5, there's this one. a man with an umbrella. But why is this image so painful? It was England's final qualifier for Euro 2008. Croatia at Wembley, a day in Steve McClaren's life that started disastrously and went downhill from there.
I've never known such anger around England's supporters as that night.
An anger fueled by some extraordinary McClaren decisions, like dropping that brilliant, cool, handsome, regular goalie for a novice.
It didn't make any sense, did it, dropping David James for Carson? I don't think anyone understood that decision. You're thinking at the time, has he gone mad? Has he had a drink?
Like the decision to publicly drop inspirational talisman Bex.
I spoke with David, notified him of my decision and said that I was planning for the future.
What future?
And David wasn't included.
And the decision to change the formation every game.
Oh, he scored! Extraordinary! And Croatia have gone 3-2 up! And England may be out after all!
But of all the decisions made, one would haunt him for the rest of his days.
The Wally with the Brolly.
Cue Rihanna.
He just looked like an accountant waiting for a bus to go home to his unhappy marriage.
We're fighting for qualification, we're desperate, and you're bothered about getting your fucking suit jacket wet.
I think Steve McClaren stood under an umbrella. Just sums up the image that everybody kind of had of him as England manager. He looked alone, hapless, and like a dead man walking, and so it turned out.
So England failed to qualify and he was sacked the next day.
It is a sad day today to be relieved of my post.
Bloody postman. That failure in 2008 would have defeated a lesser man. Instead, McClaren went off to Holland to manage FC Twente, where he won the league and mastered the notoriously difficult Dutch language.
I sort of knew when I came here and Champions League, Liverpool or Arsenal, I thought maybe one of them we would draw, and it is Arsenal, I think.
Why the need for subtitles?
You know, if we just end up going back because we beat Germany, that won't give Kevin Keegan or these players any satisfaction.
I thought you were Kevin Keegan. Anywho, at number 4, this fella's about to take England into the quarter-finals of Euro 2000. They're holding on to the 2-2 draw they need against Romania, and there's seconds left on the clock. Result. Oh, hello, Philip Neville.
No real goal-scoring danger.
Yeah, just thinking, Phil, just close them down. Just get it out for a corner.
You're going, no.
What are you doing?
No.
And then it comes like a steam train.
Oh, he's given the penalty! He's given the penalty!
It's the last minute of the game, Phil. Why would you do that? Why would you do it?
Chopper takes the guy's legs out. Penalty. Typical.
And England's future in the championship is down to Nigel Martyn. Gania, who will take? And he scores. Romania lead by 3-2.
You have to make challenges in the box, and Phil Neville did that. It just wasn't one of the best ones he's ever made.
You can say that again, Alan.
It just wasn't one of the best ones he's ever made.
So that knocked England out of Euro 2000. But what on earth did that master of self-destruction say at half-time?
P-Nevs.
Yep.
How are you in the box?
Pretty good.
Right, 90th minute.
Yep.
I want you to make an unnecessary challenge.
Sure.
And don't win the ball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't win the ball. And give away a penalty.
Yes, sir.
David, what are you doing?
I'm training for the Euros.
All right, yeah.
It's got to be up there with one of the biggest upsets ever.
It is, Peter. It's number 3. It was the summer of '92 when the Danish football team failed to qualify for the Euros and headed off on their summer holidays. End of story. Or is it? Because when UN sanctions meant warring Yugoslavia had to be disqualified, Denmark got in through the back door.
We got the call that we were in Didn't believe that. And the next day, we were in training camp.
But shockingly, Danish golden boy Michael Laudrup rated their chances so low, he stayed on holiday. I mean, fair enough, it was an all-inclusive. And whilst Michael Laudrup was sipping margaritas on the beach, the Danes only went and reached the final. Who'd have thunk it? But this was where the dream was surely going to end. It was serious now. They were facing the Germans.
Out of nowhere, the ball was played back, and here came, John Jensen, never scored in the national team before.
Vilfort again, they've got two players up with him.
And he just hit it beautifully.
And a goal, John Jensen! A fabulous start for Denmark! It's John Jensen!
He's a great lad, John, but, he wasn't one of the best players I've ever played with.
This was really happening. And then the no-hopers went and did this.
Vilfort did ever so well. Vilfort! It's in! And the underdogs have struck again.
That was a moment where I actually started to believe that we were actually going to do this.
Is it over? It is!
Denmark just turn up, come off their sun lounges and walk away with the trophy. Brilliant stuff.
It's dramatic. It's delightful. It's Denmark who are the European champions.
Michael Laudrup, well, he must have had the worst holiday of all time, watching all his teammates walk away with the trophy.
The Danes were comfortable winners in the end, apart from a tumbling Torben Peachnik, who managed to miss the entire celebratory pylon. At number 2, it's our mate Psycho again. It's 1990, it's Turin, and only penalties stand before England and the World Cup final. And Stuart Pearce steps up to put one home. Fast forward, it's 6 years later, it's Wembley, and only penalties stand before England in glory. And after that world of hurt, surely Stuart Pearce isn't going to step up again, is he?
You're just praying that he can bury it this time.
I'm like, please, Piercy, please, please, just smash it.
If this doesn't go in, I don't think he'll recover.
And the entire nation was holding its beer and fag breath.
He's like, come on. I was there with him. I was like, come on.
Come on, fuck it out, come on.
And my dad was like, come on, we die, come on.
Bleed on.
The best comeback's in Harold in Neighbours.
To be honest with you, I could hear my wife's voice saying, oh no, not you again, if I missed, so that was spurring me on to hopefully put it in the net.
He captured the mood of the country when he turned to the crowd and started screaming with his veins bulging in his head. Everybody was fist pumping, not just Stuart Pearce.
It was just like primal, wasn't it?
And the relief belongs not only to this championship, but to the World Cup of 1990. That was a thumping penalty, could not have been more accurately into the corner.
Mouthing the immortal, England, come on. Pearce had finally gained salvation. He'd taken on his demon and he'd smashed it.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
The number one shocking moment.
Yes.
It's not me, the Jacuzzi, Peter Crouch, the Swedish bikini team, the goats and the dwarf.
No, David. It is something even more shocking than that.
I mean, you could still hear every British person's breath. Oh, just as that cross comes in.
I thought it was in. I thought it was clearly going to go in, and that was it. I was, I was off my seat.
There are moments in life where the difference between joy and pain, success and failure, glory and defeat is mere millimetres. Or in Gazza's case, even less than that. It was the Euro 96 semi-final against Germany, and the game went to golden goal. One goal would take either team to the final, England's first final since 1966. One single, lone, solitary golden goal to finally stick one over the Germans.
Waits for the fullback and he hits the post.
And if ever there was a moment for an England hero to step forward,
Sheringham
this was it.
looks for Shearer, who loses his man. Gascoigne! I don't believe it.
How did he not score?
It's still really painful to think about it. If he'd just been like a millimetre taller.
Just couldn't get the left to it when the goal was yawning at his mercy.
To this day, nobody knows how Gazza didn't score, no matter how many times you watch it.
It's like the ball goes through his foot.
Why do people cut the toenails? Why?
Oh, how life for England, Germany and Gazza could have changed in that one single moment in time. In the immortal words of Nelson Mandela, if Gazza had scored that bloody goal, it'd have been bigger than Jesus. Or was it Dennis Wise? So, that's it. Those are our greatest shocking moments of the Euros.
If there's one thing you always know about football.
Yes, there'll be even more shocks in Poland and the Ukraine.
More drama, more tears, more cock-ups, and more heartache.
Especially for England.
And maybe there'll be an even bigger shock.
What, David, do you think that maybe, just maybe we could win it?
Yes, Richard.
Victory, David. I can see it. England, champions of Europe.
It's the final countdown.
Can you tell me about Peter Crouch, the Swedish bikini team, you and a dwarf?
Dwarves, plural.
Keep that perfect little bottom perched on your sofa now, because Peter's on fine form and in storytelling mode in Family Guy in a sec. And make sure you join us tomorrow night for the Eurovision Song Contest semi-finals with the hilarious Sarah Cox and Euro enthusiast Mr. Scott Mills. That's at 8.